welcome to Talking Wanderers. With me today is Wanderers writer Mark Howells to talk about the upcoming 5th round tie at Millwall. So Mark, it's the FA Cup at the weekend, a welcome rest from the rigours of trying to survive in the Premier League. How do you see the game at Millwall shaping up?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, just the mere sound of a trip to Millwall is enough to have you shaking in your boots, really. But I mean, I can't imagine that it could be any worse than the weekend at the Reebok and Wigan, because we've got quite a lot to compare it up against too, but I don't think there's a worse performance this season. The passing, I think the stats show that 56% of the passes actually hit their target, which is among it's 499th in 500 performances this season in the Premier League. So it doesn't matter what the tactical reasons were behind it. The performance was terrible, and if they go into a game at Millwall in that way, playing the kind of football they did, they're going to get knocked out of the competition, which would be extremely sad, really.
Yes, indeed. How much do you think is the formation an issue for Wanderers?
I think you can see it from two sides, because Owen Cole's made that decision to go with 4-4-2, to drop Fabrice Muamba, based on what he'd seen at the DW Stadium early this season and the way that Wigan set themselves up with three at the back. He felt that with a front two, he could win the game. With hindsight, and I won't pretend that there weren't a few of us sort of raising our eyebrows at that before the game as well. It looks to have been a mistake, and I think he's big enough and ugly enough to admit perhaps that is the case, and it wouldn't be any surprise whatsoever to see him go back to 4-5-1 at Millwall and again against Chelsea and Manchester City going forward. But going back on all that, it doesn't matter what formation you play, you've still got to have performances. And if your players aren't passing the ball right, or if they're, for some reason going too direct or not doing the jobs properly, as we saw on, a good handful of occasions on Saturday, it doesn't matter what you play. And you look at the way that David Wheater dropped off for the goal, you look at the way that Mark Davis dropped off for the second goal, and the defending, everybody was implicated in that one. It was like Keystone Cops. So it doesn't matter whether you're 4-4-2, if you're not doing your job right, it's going to fall down, isn't it?
Indeed.
But I think a lot of what the fans are saying about Fabrice Muamba should have been in there, and it should have started as 4-5-1. Has got some legs to the argument, really. So you've got to kind of balance it up, really. What's
the latest on the injury front?
There's been some bad news this morning. We've just come back from the press conference. Tyrone Mears will be out for a good while, probably six weeks plus. He's had obviously he's been out all season with a broken leg. Came back a couple of weeks ago for the game at Norwich, but he's had a lot of pain in his leg. I'm told that he's gone in for an operation now, and to have the screws removed that were causing the problem, it sort of resonates with what Stuart Holden did earlier this season as well. So that's very, very unfortunate, but also following on from last week, Kevin Davis, who'd played up front, has tweaked his medial ligament, I think, in his knee, and sort of Owen Coyle was a little bit cagey with exactly how long that could actually affect him for, but a couple of weeks minimum is the general consensus. So there's two players there that probably would have played a part, I think, in the next few weeks, but won't be available.
So have you got a prediction then for Millwall? What do you think is going to happen?
I've just got a funny feeling it'll be a very, very tight game, but Bolton will just scrape it. I think I think a draw would actually be a decent result, other than adding an extra game to the whole schedule. But I just get the feeling that Coyle is going to change things around. There's a couple of players. Tim Ream will probably make his debut. Rio Miyachi will probably come in. I just think they've got enough just to squeeze it and just to get a result.
Fingers crossed then, eh? That's all we've got time for this week. Thank you for logging on, and we'll see you next week for another look at what's coming up.